Fundraising for nonprofits is changing fast. Some organizations are doing it really well, and others are struggling to raise enough money. If you're starting or growing a nonprofit or trying to fundraise for an existing organization, you might be wondering how organizations can successfully fundraise this year. In this episode of Changemaker Cafe, I'll share current fundraising challenges nonprofits are facing this year, then share several strategies successful nonprofits are using to raise money to not just survive, but thrive and grow. And for each of those successful fundraising strategies, we'll talk about what skills you need to succeed and what you need to focus on to master them. As always, I hope you find this topic helpful in your change-making efforts, and don't forget to subscribe for more of my videos on nonprofit leadership, fundraising, and social impact. Nonprofits successfully fundraising right now are navigating some unique challenges and trends. So I want to start with the landscape that you're fundraising in right now, because it's going to impact how you approach raising money. First, nonprofits are being asked to do more with less. No surprise there, right? In a recent State of the Nonprofit Sector survey from the Nonprofit Finance Fund, 85% of organizations expected demand for their services to increase. And at the same time, recent data showed that more than a third of organizations have an operating deficit, meaning they expect their costs to exceed their income, and over half have 3 months or less of cash on hand, meaning they can operate for 3 months or less before running out of money. That means if you feel like your organization is stretched thin, you're definitely not alone, but it means organizations are having to get really creative about how to make a dollar go further and raise money. Second, federal funding has become more fragile. The federal government has had partnerships and contracts with nonprofits for decades. That's something not everyone knows, but I like to lead by just clarifying that. But over the last few years, a lot of nonprofits saw federal dollars fluctuate, making them more unpredictable. A few years ago, the Urban Institute reported the percent of nonprofits receiving federal grants dropped from 38% to 27% by 2022-2023, largely as COVID relief funding efforts ended. But more recently in 2025, almost half of nonprofits receiving federal grants or contracts reported those grants had either been canceled or delayed. The result of this was nonprofits suspending programs or laying off staff. In an environment in which government grants or contracts are shifting or decreasing, organizations are shifting focus to other funding sources such as individual givers, foundations, or earned income models. The third trend to take note of is that overall giving seems to be growing, but you have to really work for it. The good news is that people are trying to give more to causes they love. Charitable giving in the U.S. has been increasing about 6% for the past few years, according to Giving USA and some other sources. The challenge is that while giving may be growing, inflation is still eating away at what those dollars can actually buy. So some reports even show that fewer individuals are giving overall. They're just giving higher amounts. That's driving up the whole average. So what that means is that organizations are depending on a smaller pool of bigger donors. So opportunities and major gifts may be there, but only if you're building strong relationships and standing out in a somewhat crowded space. So those are some of the challenges that organizations are facing in fundraising this year, but what about opportunities? Well, across sector reports and predictions, several themes keep showing up in terms of fundraising strategies of nonprofits who are actually doing well or even growing right now. So I want to talk about a couple of those. First is this idea of community-centered fundraising. There is a shift away from this idea of purely transactional fundraising towards co-creation with communities. Community-centered fundraising is an approach where the people most impacted by your mission help shape your programs, your storytelling, and your fundraising strategies. This approach can help you fundraise more successfully because when donors see real community ownership, it builds trust, it builds credibility, and these are two factors that are known to directly increase giving. Community-centered fundraising approaches also broaden your reach because community members are naturally going to go out and share and amplify your message with their own networks. The result is more compelling and authentic stories, stronger peer-to-peer fundraising opportunities, and you've got folks feeling very personally connected to the mission, which increases donor retention each year too. If you want to try this fundraising approach, a few skills to build up include strong relationship building, getting really good at collaboration and facilitation, and of course, that authentic, values-aligned storytelling skill. The second opportunity we see a lot of successful fundraising organizations doing is monthly subscription giving. Recurring giving programs are growing in popularity, and for good reason. They give nonprofits more predictable revenue through a subscription model like Netflix or Spotify, while also giving donors an easy way to stay engaged. When done well, these programs can really boost your fundraising. I mean, imagine having 100 donors giving $50 per month, meaning your organization could rely on $5,000 of predictable funding every month as just a baseline. And these donations can also be unrestricted. They can help cover operations costs or allow you to focus on other fundraising methods or specific projects or programs if needed. Donors who are part of a monthly giving program also tend to give more over their lifetime than one-time donors. So this is a really scalable opportunity this year. Of course, there's always a catch. A monthly giving program needs some setup and effort to get going. If you want to try this approach, you'll need to focus on strong digital marketing, donor stewardship, and basic data, technology, and skills to grow and maintain a healthy recurring giving program. The third opportunity here is corporate social impact and philanthropy. Companies are still looking for meaningful and measurable partnerships with nonprofits. So these social impact partnerships can involve companies supporting nonprofits through funding, volunteering, sponsorships, employee giving, and other collaborative community projects. So because foundation grants are so competitive, and we talked about how government support is on the decline, many successful fundraisers are working on building relationships with the right corporate partners. These opportunities can translate into multi-year sponsorships, recurring grants, matching gifts, in-kind support also, and it's a high return strategy for organizations when you can clearly articulate the value that you're going to offer to a company. And that's the key here. This approach requires getting really good at identifying not just any partner, but the right partner, one that aligns with your organization's mission and values. You're going to need to focus on business development skills, partnership cultivation, stewardship, and the ability to understand what companies really want and communicate impact in the ways that they care about. The fourth thing here is trust, transparency, and impact reporting. Organizations who are thriving in fundraising this year are getting really good at communicating their impact in compelling and interesting ways. Impact reporting is this ongoing practice of showing donors what changed as a result of their support through data, stories, financial transparency, and open and honest communication. There's a lot of noise out there, so donors are becoming a lot more selective. They're giving more to organizations that demonstrate honesty, can show their results clearly, and are responsible stewards of funds. So if you can get really good at impact reporting, you'll definitely see increases in first-time and repeat donors, as well as an increase in your odds of getting foundation grants, since grant makers are most concerned with demonstrable impacts. To get really good at this, you're going to want to study strong measurement and program evaluation and hone in on clear communication skills. If you're new to impact reporting, I do have a helpful video sharing the basics of program evaluation here. And the fifth opportunity here is earned income models. These aren't new, but a lot of organizations are exploring ways to avoid relying too much on donations or grants at all, and are leaning into this earned income model. So if you're not familiar, earned income refers to revenue generated by selling goods or services, such as training or consulting or events or products or social enterprises. Oftentimes, it works by charging a group of clients who can afford to pay for some services so that you can subsidize or negate the costs for those who can't afford to pay for the other services. For example, the Red Cross charges for CPR certifications, and then the funding might support their other programs like disaster relief. Now, there are some nuances to how it works and what types of activities are permitted, and I do talk extensively about this and share different earned income models in my other video, so definitely check that out if you're interested in exploring that as a potential fundraising method. Earned income models can often feel like running a whole business inside your nonprofit. So organizations need business planning skills, customer service and marketing skills, and strong financial management skills to track costs, pricing, and margins for these fundraising initiatives. So regardless of your fundraising model, growing a nonprofit can feel overwhelming without the right systems set up. Whichever approaches you try, you still need an easy way to collect donations online. So that's why I want to thank our sponsor of this video, Click and Pledge, for making it easy for new and growing nonprofits to start strong and scale with confidence. Click and Pledge gives you professional grade tools for super affordable startup level costs from day one. They've got customizable donation forms you can plug right into your website. And these forms are often the foundation of any good online fundraising strategy like the ones we've been talking about. But Click and Pledge also has a number of other tools included in their affordable flat monthly costs, so you can use these as your nonprofit grows. Things like in-person and peer-to-peer fundraising features, video fundraising with embedded donation links right in the videos, text-to-give tools, donor management and stewardship tools, Salesforce and other integrations, and all included with no contracts or surprise add-on fees. Unlike some platforms that increase your fees as you grow, Click and Pledge pricing stays the same whether you have 10 donors or 10,000 donors. So you can use the QR code and link in the description to check out Click and Pledge, book a demo, and get your first $25 monthly fee waived. Those are some of the ways successful nonprofits are fundraising, but I do want to share a disclaimer here. It's important not to assume that what works for one organization will work for another organization. Every mission, every community, and every organization's skill sets are going to be different. There are two most important things all organizations should do to succeed in fundraising, no matter how they're approaching it. The first is to focus on finding your funding fit. You would think that successful fundraisers focus on diversification, but that's not actually true or what the research shows. Every organization who has gotten good at fundraising has done this. They have figured out what fundraising methods and donor audiences are the right fit for their mission and skills. Cultivating individual donors requires some different skills than grant writing. Forming corporate partnerships calls for different skills than running an earned income program. And trying to do it all just spreads you really thin so you don't end up making headway on any particular fundraising method. According to the Bridgespan Group, the vast majority of nonprofits raising at least $250,000 per year, including organizations that are raising millions per year, are focusing on generating revenue from the fundraising method that fits their model best, not spreading themselves thin across several different methods. That said, if you're just starting to learn how to raise money, there is one common skill that all successful fundraisers seem to have, and that is community and relationship building. Successful fundraising of all types requires you to make yourself visible in your community, to maintain a positive reputation, to show up consistently and be memorable to people and organizations, and earn trust and credibility by doing what you say you will. I'd love to hear what you thought about how to think about fundraising for your organization. What are you struggling with? What are your questions? Share those in the comments as always. And if this video helped you, give it a like and subscribe so YouTube shares it with more nonprofit leaders like yourselves. Don't forget, I have more content every week on how to grow your social impact through nonprofits, fundraising, social entrepreneurship, and more. I'm Amber Melanie Smith. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.